All right. Hey there, everyone. Thanks for taking the time to dive into my speed training recap video. I've been working on my club speed I've always felt like I've swung it pretty fast. And then a couple of years ago, just to kind of get you caught up here, started doing some speed training coming out of COVID because I felt like my speed really took a dive, just having not moved very much during COVID. Watched Bryson DeChambeau and what he was doing with his speed, so I figured why not try to do some stuff both in the gym and in the simulator to ramp that speed back up. So what you're watching me do today, this is the first proper speed training session I've done since I've gotten back into the speed game, because I'd say kind of most of 2023 I was not speed training at all, at least through the majority of it, kind of February onwards. But now we're back. So let me kind of dive into what you're seeing here. What you're seeing is some ramp-up swings. Now, I already made some swings earlier in the session. Not earlier in the session, my apologies, earlier in the day, but brought a change of clothes with me because I had a couple hour gap in between lessons. This was Saturday, filming this on Monday night. We're doing the voiceover Monday night. Anyway, back to the video. You're watching ramp-up swings. I did 5 pitching wedges, 5 7-irons, and then 5 drivers just to get, primed, loose, ready to fire. So what I was doing there was 20% effort, 40, 60, 80, 100. I did 5 swings with each. So what you just saw there was the 20% driver coming out 90, pretty good. Then we're going to go 40, 60, 80, 100. This is not length of swing. This is kind of what I would say as like exertion rate, how hard you feel like you're going. So with these 15 balls, not trying to burn too much energy, obviously, just getting the body loose. I think we have one more here. And actually, no, I think we have 2 more, if I remember correctly. We have the 80 and the 100, and then we're going to get into our first set. Now, let me give some context to what these sets are. Through trial and error in previous speed training sessions, just to get the most out of the session, to use my energy efficiently, I've adapted to what I would call these kind of progressive sets. So, here's set 1. You open up with like a swing that's kind of 75-ish% effort. And it's a great chance to feel any specific technique you're trying to employ to get more speed, whether it's using the ground with your legs a certain way, or maybe a higher hand path, or more height to those hands in the backswing, maybe a longer swing, bigger turn, whatever the case may be. Then you go from 75 into 100, and then you're just going to push harder and harder from there. So that was 100. This is 110, 120, 130, 140. You're just going to go as hard as you can. Inevitably, you're going to fatigue. The number's going to drop. So you can kind of give yourself a little bit of a leeway here if you feel like you still got some steam going. But once you see the number drop, what I find best is to call it a set, end it there, take a little rest. Sometimes if you're too ramped up, you got to force yourself to rest, maybe 2-3 minutes. Then come back to it. Another 75, 100, 110, 120, 130. Just push. So that's where I felt like my speed had dropped. Coming into this, my highest speed was 132.6 recently. And I'm training exclusively with 45, or maybe it's like 45 and a half. These are stock length drivers right now. My hope is to get to like at least 135, maybe even closer to 140, and then we'll pull out the 47-inch, 48-inch stuff to see what we can get to there. My all-time high with a 47.5-inch driver is 143.3 club and like 204.4 ball. So here we go. Came out with a nice one early. This was a long set. And with these like progressive sets, you can kind of feel your way through it a little bit. So if the number drops, a mile an hour or 2, but again, you still feel like you have some momentum, then keep going. But the idea is you don't want to burn a bunch of extra swings when you're obviously fatigued and slowing down, because chances are your overall speed session won't last as long. It won't have as many high quality swings, and you're not going to be able to kind of burst through your barriers as much. So if I remember correctly, we're going to get, I felt like I kind of got to 130 and I was hitting the ceiling a little bit there. And I believe usually what I go to first in like my bag of tricks to try and get a little extra speed is I just try and swing back faster. That would be the first thing I do. And I'm also trying to maybe take a bigger backswing, but that can be a hard combo. I'll explain. To, fire off in the backswing harder, you're contracting your muscles to make that happen with more force and speed. So you're kind of getting tight. And then as you're so tight and contracted, it can be hard to let yourself get to that deep backswing position. So There it is. A term that I've been using, not that I came up with this, I've been hearing this online before. It's the contraction relaxation cycle, right? So it's kind of the difference between if you're just going to do a bench press or a squat or a deadlift, you're pretty much rigid and tight the entire time through that movement. And versus like a kettlebell swing or some of the Olympic style lifting where you're contracting to move heavy weight off the ground, get it going, then you relax to let that weight kind of move through the air, and then you might contract again to catch it or send it back in the other direction again. So that contraction relaxation cycle is kind of what I feel like I was able to tap into to push through to some higher speeds. What we're seeing here is I felt like I really connected on one. So I brought up ball speed. This is just a stock club off the floor at 5-iron golf, just a stock Callaway Paradigm. I think it was like a 50 gram, might even be regular flex. So typically I don't leave ball speed up because I'm not counting on the equipment to keep up with the speed. We're literally just training force production club speed. So I pulled the ball speed up just to kind of show off a little bit, and also I was curious to see what we were generating because a couple of these swings we really connected. I think this one we mishit a little bit, yeah. But overall, I was kind of pumped to see how many of these at 132 we kind of were able to put up in a row. One cliche phrase I'm using all the time is if you can raise the ceiling, you can raise the floor. So it's exciting to watch that top speed peak, but also it can be just as gratifying at times to watch yourself cruise at a higher rate of speed than you were able to in previous sessions, previous weeks. So you saw me dip down from 132 back to a 131-ish, 130 number. So we called set number 2 over after that, took a little break, and we got into set number 3. Set number 3 and set number 4 is where we hit 133. Set number 3 was the last set where we felt fresh and solid. I actually felt a little lucky to kind of get that 134 in the fourth set. 133. Just because I felt like overall a little bit more fatigued, laboring to get the same levels of speed. But yeah, to get back on what I was talking about earlier though, I really am digging this kind of feeling of that contraction relaxation cycle because you're flexing your muscles to kind of get that club going fast off the ball. Then you're trying your best to relax and let those arms and back muscles stretch a little bit at the top of the backswing to get a little bit deeper. But then you're almost immediately pulling on them again to get that club fired back in front of you. Because if you feel like you're trying to apply a lot of force at impact, it's already too late. Everything's happening too quickly. So what I've learned is you got to get those arms kind of pulling down hard from the very top of the backswing. I mentioned earlier subtly, but some other things we can do is trying to go for higher hands, really going up, up, up to create a taller arc, more leverage through the backswing into the downswing. All sorts of stuff we can experiment with, but at the end of the day, if you want to get faster, you got to train fast to be fast. So at least, a speed training session here or there. As you'll notice, I have no clue where these balls are going, really. I look at sometimes after, when I'm done the session, to look at what happened, but we're just training overall speed here. Now, sometimes people ask me, no, these are not speeds that I would use on the golf course, but if your 100% swing gets faster, let me pause. That one I almost missed. You may have caught that. When you're pushing yourself as hard as you can possibly go, I've had sessions where I actually whiffed the ball. Luckily, that didn't happen here. Just kind of topped it, got back into this one, slowed down a little bit, gave myself some wiggle room or some leeway to speed back up to see what we could do. And I do think we revved the engines back up and got to a good number here. But the whole idea is you're letting yourself get a little bit wild to get overall speeds as high as possible. Because again, if your max effort speeds go up, your cruising level speeds will go up. Maybe probably a good time to put a disclaimer here. If you're thinking about doing this stuff, we don't want it to negatively affect, there we go, 133.3. That's the highest we've seen in a while. We were pumped about that one. I think you're seeing me there trying to show off that contraction relaxation cycle there. A little bit of a contraction getting going. Aggressive takeaway, stretch at the top, and then aggressive back down to start the downswing. What I was saying is, I'm always saying this in lessons constantly, but to be a good ball striker, a confident ball striker, you need 2 core skills. You need to feel like you hit the ball solid off the middle of the face, with relative consistency, so you're not laboring to do it. You're not wondering if you can do it. It's just going to happen for you most of the time. And you feel as though you can control the face-to-path relationship, or you know which way your ball is going to curve naturally, and you're happy with it. If those two boxes are checked, you're probably ready for speed training. If those boxes are not checked, I would not suggest speed training the way you're watching me do it right here. Because if my ball starts going sideways, I'm feeling confident I can slow things down, reevaluate, set up, backswing, downswing, and figure out ways to get my ball going the way I want to. And also, I'm pretty confident in my ability to hit hooks and slices, which if you can hit both curves, you can find your way to the middle. I'm very confident about that. Everyone I know who exclusively hooks it or exclusively slices it, they can't hit the opposite shape in practice. So that's a worthwhile thing to add into your training. I digress. If you don't feel like you can hit it solidly and control the face-to-path relationship most of the time, then you can still speed train, but probably you're better off not doing it hitting balls yet, right? There's all sorts of programs out there. I'm not going to name any names. There's a million of them on the market now, different products and systems you can use to increase speed and tap into a similar style training. But again, if you're feeling confident as a ball striker, then especially if you have access to a simulator setup like this, I'm sure maybe if you're in any big cities in the U.S., you might have a 5-iron golf near you. So check out 5-iron. Obviously, I'm partial to them being a staffer here. But get in there, just flash that club speed in front of you and rev the engine. Don't hurt yourself. If anything feels uncomfortable, it's time to stop, rest up, and then try again next week. I'd say weekly, assuming that you have a full-time job and you don't have all the time in the world to rest and recover, weekly is not a bad idea for some speed training. And with these progressive sets, what you can experience is that 75% swing should go up, 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 and your top end swings should go up, up, up. There's 133.4. That was the highest of the day. And then what's going to inevitably happen, I'm going to see this in set 5, the 75% swing, just not as much pop. And then you feel like you're pushing just as hard and the speeds just aren't there anymore. I've learned over time, just shut those engines down quickly, because this is power training technically, and power training really only has its benefits when you're feeling relatively fresh. So once you're fatigued and the speeds are slowly but surely fading, all you're really doing now is building maybe sketchy technique habits for no good reason. So you're seeing this, I come out of the gates, I can tell you, I was already feeling fatigued. This was a real smoothie, 114. I think I got this to jump decently. I kind of told myself all right, man, you're still speed training. So we got this to jump a little bit here, but I can tell you firsthand, I was giving these things everything I got, and I just didn't quite have it. I think I mistagged some of those balls there. I had them for the 4th set instead of the 5th, and I like to really tag these shots specifically, so when I look back at the shot report, I know what I was looking at. I'll post an image of the shot report probably to my Instagram or TikTok, probably just Instagram story, but I think the deepest ball of the day was 350. The fastest swing was 133.3, and I think it was 194 ball speed was the fastest. All right, if you watched all this, I appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. See you soon.